Good morning, everyone. It's Mike de Bruin from Simplifying Life. Or good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Good night. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different from what I usually do. Normally, I focus on ways to make ourselves feel better by simplifying our lives, or to finding a way to move forward through life a bit more meaningfully. Today, I thought, let's do it different. Some people, clients of mine, myself included, every now and then just don't want to listen. So just for the people that don't want to listen and try not to follow advice and try to stay the way I'm actually going to give you about 10 tips, 10 really crucial tips on how to make your life absolutely miserable, how to stay feeling as bad as you can. And here we go, because I'm going to keep it as short and sweet as possible. So number one, compare yourself to everything, or compare your life to everything, and compare yourself to everyone. And absolutely, and that's the second one in one hit, be jealous. I can promise you, if you compare yourself and compare your life to everything and everyone, you'll feel totally miserable at first. Because there's always people who will do better than you are doing. There will always be people who have more than you are having. There will always be people that seem to have it all and you have nothing at all. Now, that's one. If you compare all your life events to other events, there are always people who have it worse as well. There are people that are way worse off than you are, that seem to be doing less good, worse, that seem to not have their life in order at all. So you can compare up and down. Up as in look at the people that are better than you, and compare down the people that are worse off than you. Two things will happen, and they will make you feel absolutely miserable. And that's that second tip in one as well. If you compare up, looking at people who seem to have it better than you do, you will feel jealous, which is absolutely horrible, and therefore you will feel miserable. But when you compare down, so to look at people that don't have it as good as you are having it, you will most likely feel a strong sense of guilt, because you shouldn't be feeling that way. There's no reason for you to feel that way, because on a whole, especially you live in a country like Australia, it's not that bad. We're doing all right. We still have a roof over our head, most of us anyway. So if we compare down, you will feel guilt. And if you're lucky, you'll also feel a big sense of shame, as in, I'm really bad for thinking that. I really shouldn't be feeling that. I'm such a bad person. So tip number one, if you want to feel really bad, compare up and down. Because if you compare up, you'll find jealousy there, which is great. That's number two in a way. If you compare down, you'll find guilt and shame there, which is also awesome, and you'll feel totally miserable. Number two, listen, and really listen to your own inner critical voice and to the advice and comments of other people, especially the negative Nancys and the Donny Downers. Do it. If you want to feel horrible pretty quick, the only thing you really have to do is listen to your inner voice. It's simple as that, because it's always quacking at you all day long, telling you all sorts of stuff about how bad you are, how not good you're doing, how you should have done things different, what a dumbass you are for not doing things a particular way, or how life should have been different than it is, or how life was better than it's now, how life it could be better than it now is, etc., etc. Your critical inner voice will constantly tell you how much you are a failure. So that's a really good one, because that one goes 24/7. But if you don't want to do that entirely, just listen to the advice and tips from others, especially the people who are born pessimists or learned pessimists and skepticists and whatever else, because they'll tell you to be constantly careful to not fall into all sorts of death traps, and they will make your life, or at least help you to make your life as miserable as possible. I promise you, because they're a great gang to hang around with if you want to do that. Number three, rely on others for validation, or to put it differently, rely on others to feel good for yourself. So your own sense of self-worth, rely on others to get it. You'll be totally guaranteed to fail, which will make you feel miserable. So do it. Some people will like what you're doing. Some people will not like what you're doing at all. So sometimes you might hit the jackpot, and that feels great, but most of the time people, at least some people, will disagree with what you're doing, and you can then turn that into not only disagree with what you're doing, but also disagree with who you are being, what sort of person you are. And that's even more impactful. Yeah, so we go from guilt, not doing enough, to shame, not being enough. And that's an awesome combo. So if you can rely on others for validation, you'll be guaranteed to sometimes hit the jackpot, which is great. But most of the time, you'll start entrenching in yourself this sense of feelings of guilt and shame. Yeah, so if you want to feel miserable, keep doing that. Absolute guarantee, success guaranteed. Next one, I think, is number 4. I'm losing count. Spend all your time in the past or into the future, but definitely do not spend time in the now, in the present moment. The past is always better, or was better, and you can dwell on that and how good it was and how bad life is now. You know, so compare all the stuff that you had in the past, and then use that to actually, you know, throw yourself into the future, and then think how bad life is going to be based on how bad it was in the past, or based on what you would like to see in the past, like to see in the future, sorry, that wasn't able to be gotten in the past. So therefore it will not be able to be achieved in the future either. So if you're constantly spending time in past or future, there's 2 guarantees. You'll feel absolutely depressed about stuff in the past, and you'll feel totally anxious about stuff in the future. So if you want to feel really miserable, go past and future only. Please do not spend any moments in the present moment, because it's not good for you if you want to feel miserable. So next one, 5, I think. Spend time focusing on what you don't want and don't have or can't solve. So there is this idea of stuff happening in your life right now that you can't seem to fix, and it doesn't want to be fixed, and you really don't want to have it. It's completely undesired. You never asked for it. You can't get rid of it. Focus on that. Focus on the stuff that's not working well, on the stuff you don't have, and on the stuff you can't seem to solve in your life, either with life events or with other people. That's an absolute success guaranteed in terms of feeling miserable, because we stop looking at progress, which is really good if you want to feel miserable. If you keep looking at what you don't have, what you don't want, and where you are not, you'll keep doing that as you track through time. So if you want to hold on to that as a mental mindset, you'll take it into the future. So time will change, you'll age anyway, but because you hold on to this idea of not having, not being what it is that you want to be or have, and not solving what it is that you want to solve, you can at least stay in that mindset of feeling miserable. So no matter how your actual life is changing and potentially improvements, you'll keep focusing on stuff. So if there is 60% improvement, you can then at least keep focusing on the 40% that's not working for you, and therefore feel miserable. So if you don't want to focus on the progress, because that would actually make you feel better, you know, on the process and the progress, if you don't want to do that, stick with the minimal percentage that's not going well, it can't be solved, and that just doesn't want to change, because otherwise you'll start to feel better. In this case, you know, in this set of tips, you don't want to do that. One that comes with that, lost count, number 6, 7, whatever, is look for a silver bullet or a magic pill. And if you can't find that, look for the person who promises they can provide you with a magic pill or a silver bullet. Now, I actually have, I'm not sure if you can see that. I can't see myself on camera at the moment, but I think you can. I have a bottle here, whoops, there we go, with magic pills, and I hand them out to clients. So if you're looking for that, come to me. I can give you a magic pill. That definitely works. You will not feel better because of this magic pill. And what it also does is it makes you dependent on these magic pills or on me, which is good for business, but not for you, which then is good. And if you look for this silver bullet and keep looking for it, I can pretty much promise you, you won't find it. So if you want to feel miserable, that's excellent. Yeah, look for it. Don't rely on yourself. Look for other things that can make your life better. Really good one. Now, another one, try and change things that cannot be changed. That sort of links in with what I was talking about before. In psychology, we talk about this concept of internal locus and external locus of control. You know, stuff that we, I think it's, oh, geez, I can't think of the name, the other, well, anyway, don't worry, it'll pop up in my mind. But we're talking about this sense of what is in my sphere of influence, what is in my sphere of control, what can I change? that would be a good one to have if you want to feel better. So if you don't want to feel good, but actually want to feel miserable, you want to put all your focus on external circumstances and external people. Yes, so if you want to feel bad, focus on behavior of other people, attitudes of other people, or events and situations in life you cannot change. Maybe certain things in your body you can't change. Focus on those and keep focusing on those, because that can actually make you feel quite bad. It's man, it popped up in my mind. Never mind. I don't want to give you that book because that might actually make you feel better. So don't worry about it. Keep focusing externally. That's a quick tip in this one. Don't look for stuff inside you and what you can change, but look outside. Will absolutely work for you if you want to feel miserable. The next one is be entitled. If you want to feel horribly miserable, just feel entitled. Now, I don't know if you know the parable of Narcissus. Narcissus is a Greek mythology story. Now, Narcissus was a hunter who fell in love with his own reflection in a pool of water. And he didn't realize it was him, that it was his own image that he was looking at reflected back to him. So when he saw that image, he totally and utterly fell in love with the reflection of his own face, because he apparently was a good-looking guy, and became so in love with that he couldn't look at who actually was interested in him, which I think was a lady called Echo. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He became completely enamored with the picture in the water, and ultimately died of thirst or drowning. I think the jury is out on how he died, but at least he died staring at his own reflection in the mirror or in the water and couldn't do anything else anymore. So if you are entitled, if you think that the world completely revolves around you and that everything needs to happen for you, to you, in a good sense, and by people, and they need to understand that those are your rights, your innate rights, and therefore it needs to be done to you, because I'm the most important part and the most important person in the world. If you just hold on to that strong enough, you will feel totally miserable, because most people will not like you. Life actually doesn't work that way, and therefore you will be disappointed without a doubt. So if you want to feel miserable, feel entitled, feel that everything is anyone else's fault but you, which actually links in with the next one. So be entitled and don't assume responsibility. That's the last one I'll be talking about. Do not assume any responsibility for anything that happens in your life. It's not your fault. You didn't ask for it. It was actually the economy. It was the climate. It was the fact that you were born male in Northern Europe. It was the fact that you're balding. It's that your wife or husband doesn't like you. It's the fact that you never got a chance. It's the fact that someone else made you mad, and therefore you said something back. It's like, well, you didn't want to treat that person that way, but they asked for it. So it's their fault that I've lost all my friends. So if you want to feel miserable, do not take responsibility. In mindfulness, there is a school of thought that says experiential ownership. Own your experiences. Don't own them. Completely disown them. Push them away. Everything you feel is caused by other situations and other people, and therefore you had no part in that. And then you can absolve yourself from any guilt or shame, or so you think. I can promise you it's a complete recipe to feel utterly miserable, because people, again, will not like you. The world doesn't work that way. So you are guaranteed to meet a miserable bastard in no time flat. So there you have it. 10 tips, roughly, on how to feel totally miserable, to not move forward with your life, to stay in a pit of misery, and to virtually lose all friends and all good connections in the world, and to potentially not get what you want. But even if you do, you won't recognize it, because there's so much more that you still don't have. So at least you can stay in that cycle quite nicely and have nothing to worry about anymore. So for more tips on that, you know where to find me. It's easy. Just email me, find me on Facebook, find me on LinkedIn, find me anywhere on my YouTube channel. And if you've got questions about this, if you want to feel even more miserable, I got a stack more. I'll do articles on this as well. So stay posted, stay tuned, keep me posted, and love to hear all your miserable stories, and talk soon.